welcome to Eat Well with Parkinson's disease. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Paula.
Thank you. We will be your hosts today. A special welcome to our live audience guests. We are thrilled to have you. Please feel free to ask questions and make comments at any time. Today is the fourth episode of Eat Well with Parkinson's disease. Before we get into the content and the details of what we'll be talking about today, I just want to introduce a little bit to all of you, our viewers at home, about what Eat Well with Parkinson's disease is. Parkinson's disease is the fastest growing brain disorder worldwide. It is the second most prevalent neurodegenerative disorder after Alzheimer's disease, and to date there is no cure. And yet we know that many of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease can be very well managed with exercise and good lifestyle choices, including
Nutrition.
eating well.
And eating
Exactly. So we want to bring to you today, and once a month over the course of the next few months, important nutritional information about how to eat and live well with Parkinson's disease. And although it is really, truly so important for people with Parkinson's disease to make good lifestyle choices, including choosing to eat well and making good food choices, really what we talk about in this TV program is applicable to everybody. And in addition to that, while we share these recipes with you, it's also important to us that these recipes be healthy, nutritious, delicious, but also fast and easy to make at home. So that's a little bit about what Eat Well with Parkinson's disease is. Paula, what are we talking about specifically today?
Great. So today we're talking about gut health. And one of the things that fascinates me about nutrition and Parkinson's disease is that when you look at trying to understand Parkinson's disease and its symptoms and its complications that arise sometimes in patients, we find that there's key nutrition things that we do that support gut health. One of the things that happens with Parkinson's disease is sometimes you don't know you have Parkinson's disease, but you're constipated a few years before the diagnosis. So that is why, one of the reasons why gut health is so important for Parkinson's disease. And the other thing is the gut-brain connection that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
All right. So my guess is that we're going to make some recipes specific to promoting and supporting gut health. Are there certain foods that we should be thinking about as it relates to gut health?
Yes. So we usually think of fiber and we usually think of fluid as part of gut health and helping to become regular instead of constipated. But we also look at creating a healthy microbiome, which is the good bacteria in our gut. And we look for two things. We look for prebiotic foods that support your good bacteria that you already have in your gut. And that would be like onions and garlic and fruits and some fruits and vegetables. And it's also cooked, cooled, and reheated potatoes, rice, and beans. So that's prebiotics, support the good bacteria to promote what we call short-chain fatty acids, which is fuel for that good bacteria. So they multiply, they're happy, and they help you move along, and they help you create bulk in your GI tract. The next thing that we look at is probiotics, and we hear about probiotics often because that's actually the good bugs. And then you ingest them into your system. Sometimes people take them if they're on antibiotics or if they're having problems with regularity. So those are the good bugs, but the good bugs are also found in certain foods, like our acidic foods, like our apple cider vinegar with the mother, our raw sauerkraut, our raw kimchi. So we're going to use a bunch of those today in our recipes to show you how easy it is to incorporate these good foods in our diet.
That's awesome. What are we making today?
So we're going to start with a potato salad. It is summer. We do use a lot of backyard barbecues, backyard picnics. So we're going to make a potato salad, and we're also going to make a sweet potato chickpea quinoa burger that is good alternative to like a burger and a hot dog.
All right. Should we get started?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to come on the other side and get started on our dressing for the potato salad.
Okay.
I wonder, can we see?
Can you zoom in on the, great. Okay, so the dressing for the potato salad is olive oil.
Yeah.
When we use extra virgin olive oil, it's very high in antioxidants, which are great for inflammation. So that's what we're gonna do. We wanna get a nice good olive oil. You can see the bright green color. Then we're gonna add some of the apple cider vinegar.
I think it's this one.
Yeah, it looks more. So
Now
that
you-
has
yeah.
good bacteria in it, that has the probiotics. When you look for apple cider vinegar, that has the mother in it.
What does that mean?
The mother means it has the good bacteria, and the good bacteria multiply. So
Okay.
it's the mother of the good bacteria. An interesting thing about the mother is when we're born and we pass through the mom's birth canal, when we are kissed and hugged by our family, we develop our own good bacteria, and that's our microbiome. But families have very similar microbiomes because they kiss and hug each other. They're in the same family. They have the same germs and environment. So your microbiome starts from 0 to 3 years of age. And as you age, it develops over time and it grows and it helps you become regular. But antibiotics, stress, hormone changes, even just kids going to kindergarten, it challenges that microbiome. So that's why doctors always say, try and use the foods first to promote the good bacteria of your own. And then the second resort is the pills or the probiotics.
So I know constipation is one of the symptoms that people with Parkinson's disease might report starts even up to 10 years before some of the motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Do people living with Parkinson's have different gut biomes from other people?
There is some research out there that supports different bacteria. There is different bacteria even in marathon runners and sedentary people. So it starts with your makeup, but then it depends on what else is going on in your body, what challenges you might have, what challenges have been happening to your brain and your gut, your GI tract, your constipation, that really promote it and keep it going along the way.
All right.
So this has the apple cider vinegar.
Yep.
It has some honey,
Okay, I'll put the honey in.
some ground mustard, and it also has some sauerkraut juice. So the sauerkraut juice, it's not the sauerkraut that you get from the hot dog, that Boar's Head brand. We want you to use the really good raw sauerkraut. So in the refrigerated health food-like section of our grocery store, there's different brands of this raw sauerkraut, raw kimchi. Some of the local farmers markets have this raw sauerkraut as well. And what that is, it means it's a fermented product that's fermenting and bubbling and growing the good bacteria.
I don't know if anyone in the audience can smell this, but it smells so good. You can smell the honey and the mustard. It's amazing.
Okay, so this is your typical potato salad. We're putting in some Yukon Gold potatoes. We're putting in some celery for a little bit of the crunch. If you had any trouble swallowing or chewing, you might want to alter this and make it a little softer. Maybe boil it a little bit. It has some red onion for a little bit of that flavor and snap.
And we're not talking quantities here, but I'll just let everybody know that we have all of our recipes with the quantities and instructions on our website, which you can access. If you put up the QR code in our website, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Awesome.
Okay. We also have our nutrition information page and everything we're talking about today, just in case you need a refresher or some reinforcement. Okay, so we have we're also going to add this raw sauerkraut to the mix, and we're going to garnish it with some parsley, and then we're going to add Sarah's dressing. Okay, so again, this is that summer backyard potato salad, different from the traditional potato salad with the mayonnaise, but it's just a nice alternative. It has a nice flavor to it. Okay, so if you want to put that on there.
All right,
okay.
add the dressing.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. And then I'm just going to use some of this parsley because there's a very generous amount here.
Looks so good.
Okay. Okay. So this is really, it's getting a few of those components we're looking at. It's getting the onions in it. It's getting the potatoes. So when potatoes are cooked, cooled and reheated like you do with potato salad, it develops resistant starch. And that is another proponent of a healthy diet for these good bacteria in our system, because the good bacteria are the the good bugs, and they eat the resistant starch and they multiply, and it creates short chain fatty acids, and that's what's great to help build their supply. Okay.
Looks amazing.
Okay, so we're gonna set this aside and we're
Alright.
going to go to the burgers. Okay.
Right. It looks great. And you had said also that if we wanted to add some more protein to the potato salad, here, I'll get that out of
Yes,
your
we
way.
could add some hard-boiled eggs,
Mhm.
okay? We always talk about protein in terms of muscle mass, in terms of immunity, building our strength, and it's a really good food. Protein, fat, and fiber helps us feel full and satiety. So instead of snacking and eating lots of meals and gravitating towards some of that sweets and that extra junk food, we like to try and make sure you have healthy, satisfying meals. Okay.
So before we go to the sweet potatoes, we've talked about some of the foods that we can eat to improve our gut health. Are there foods to avoid?
Yes, there are definitely foods to avoid. I kind of touched on it a little bit. That junk food type of thing. So anything that has any high fructose corn syrup, additives, preservatives, dye, fake fats, very sugary, too much flour, those type of things are cause more of an insult, or they can challenge that good bacteria. So that's why we want to try and move always towards healthy foods, whole fruits and vegetables, trying to get natural sources of sweetness by using honey or date syrup or date sugar, coconut sugar. So that's what our premise is, to really try and create a little bit more healthy food with a healthy eating. Okay, so now we're gonna put together our sweet potato burger. So
Yeah,
the
you come
basis
on
of
this
this, actually, I'll put the ingredients in and you
Alright.
can stir it up.
All right,
Okay,
perfect.
so the basis of this is ground chickpeas. Okay, so that's giving us some protein, that's giving us some soluble fiber. We have a sweet potato that's been roasted and mashed. Okay, so we're adding that.
Oh,
And we
so
have
good.
some quinoa. So I don't know if people use quinoa regularly, but quinoa is a nice grain that we have. And it has protein in it too, so that's giving another dose of protein. It's also giving a nice chewy texture to our burgers. Okay, so we're adding in that. Okay. And so you can see this is a punch of protein, a punch of flavor too. To add a little bit more flavor, we're gonna put some tahini in it, which is ground sesame seeds.
I feel like I'm always looking for a non-meat burger
This is a great
too.
choice. This is a great choice because it tastes very sweet. So even getting someone that's addicted to sweets or like a lot of sweets, it's a great alternative. We add a little bit of cumin for the flavoring and spice. Okay, and a little bit of is it easier to use this? Maybe switch it out.
That'd be great.
And then a little bit of baking powder. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. So as you can see, some of these recipes we're trying not to have too many ingredients, trying to make it a little bit healthy but also easy.
And just mix it up, Paula?
Yes, we're gonna mix it up. We'll put
Okay.
a little salt and pepper to taste.
Great.
Okay, and then what we do is I usually use like a half a cup measure to make the burger. So I'll make a burger and then I'll just put them, sometimes it's easier to use the cooktop and sometimes it's easier to use the oven. Whatever works for you, you just wanna get a crisp texture on the outside.
Everything's cooked, so
Yeah,
it's
everything's really
just...
cooked already, yeah. Okay.
All right, that's looking pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
Do
And
you
you
want me
can
to
make
turn
them,
this on for you?
yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
And you can make them as big or as small as you want. And flat kind of cooks a little bit easier, but that's about the same size of a burger. You can do it with a bun if you like. We're just gonna heat that grill up a little bit. Okay, so that's what they look like. We have some cooking in the oven, just to show you the end result.
All right, well, while we cook these amazing sweet potato burgers, why don't we soon go to our special segment? Each month we like to bring to you sweet, delicious treats that are also nutritious. We go to some of our colleagues and have them sample the delicious baked goods and have them guess what the secret or healthy ingredient is. This month we made an olive oil lemon cake. Paula, can you tell us what the benefits of the secret ingredients are?
Okay, so the olive oil, like we touched on a little bit before, it's that high antioxidant. You want to show this,
Oh,
the
yeah.
cake? It's that really high antioxidant
Beautiful.
of the olive oil. It's a good, healthy fat for us. And it's going to give us this moist
Thank you.
taste. And you don't really taste that olive oil type of taste that we think. And it's actually a nice olive oil, so it has a little bit of a buttery taste. This also has half the sugar is devoted to honey. So it's half sugar, half honey to get us moving away from so much processed sugar. And honey is actually a prebiotic. And prebiotic means it's that good bacteria. It's feeding our good bacteria. And then the last thing in it, it has some almond flour for a little bit extra dose of fiber. So we don't really think of cake giving us fiber or cake, we're wanting fiber in our cake, but it's like about a third of cup to a cup of flour. So it's just giving that a little bit of fiber, and the thing that it does for the cake is it makes it light and airy. So you'll see how our reactions from our participants, how much they enjoyed it.
All right, great. Let's go to Believe It or Not.
Would you like to try my lemon cake?
It's nice and light.
That's good. That's really good.
It's light. It's lemony.
It's really good. Oh my god.
What do you think?
Amazing. Love it.
Would you believe it has olive oil, honey, and almond flour?
That's amazing.
It tastes good, but guilt-free. I like it. It's good.
That's good.
Great.
Was it like olive oil cake or like kind of?
Believe it or not, you're the first one to guess that it's olive oil cake.
Oh yeah, I have had some before, so I figured it tasted something like it.
It's delicious. Love it.
Well, I've sampled your olive oil lemon cake, and it is delicious. And for all of our live audience guests, you'll get to taste a little bit at the end of the show today, too. So you're in for a treat. While Paula starts to cook these sweet potato burgers, I do have a follow-up question for you. You talked a little bit about the brain-gut connection. What do you mean by that?
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
tell us more.
Okay. So passing on the from the gut, brain to the gut is our vagus nerve. And I have an interesting cartoon that sometimes I show that it's the stomach talking to the brain, and it says, "Hey, baby, I feel like we have a connection." And the brain says, "Always trust your gut feelings." So when we look at gut and gut health, we think of when we're constipated, we might be cranky. When we're stressed or anxious, we might feel butterflies in our stomach. So it's that connection that's going from the brain to the gut, and it helps define or adjust our emotions, and it helps us feel relaxed or anxious. So there's a real big connection between the brain and the gut. So when you have constipation, where it's challenging the gut and it's challenging that gut-brain connection. And like we said, Parkinson's patients don't usually know they have Parkinson's disease, and they start experiencing this constipation. So that's why it's so important to understand this connection. And what the vagus nerve does is it controls and regulates the flow of the esophagus and the movement of the peristalsis of the GI tract, but it also controls the message center up to the brain. So in our gut, we have serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone. The more we eat healthy food, the more we promote serotonin. In the brain, we have anxiety, neurotransmitters as well, and we want to try and quell those and have the happy hormones as much as possible, or the happy things going up to our brain. The other thing that happens is we want to try and relax the vagus nerve to help sure that the passages are well defined and everything is running smooth through the connections between the brain and the gut. So we look at breathing techniques, exercise, meditation, laughing, even gargling, believe it or not, helps this vagus nerve flow. So one of the things you can think about before eating is being mindful, being relaxed, trying to deep breathe, having a few breaths before you even start eating. And if you have a breathe in session where you breathe in to 4, you hold it and you breathe out till 6, that helps start that relaxation process, and it also helps start the gut motility and this vagus nerve transmission. So it's very important to be relaxed and not be stressed, and trying to do your best to kind of have a nice, healthy, mindful meal as well.
And that also speaks to sharing meals with friends and family as well.
Yes.
And really enjoying it and making it a social event
Yes,
as much
so
as we can.
one of the things we like to think about too is like we said before, we want these meals to be colorful, we want these meals to be tasty, and we want these meals to have that real eye appeal. So that's another thing that the lemon cake does. And you'll notice around the lemon cakes there's some berries, and berries are another one of those prebiotic fruits that really help us a lot with our motility and things. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Any questions from our audience? Yeah.
Can you make those burgers on a grill?
I think you could. The problem is they're not as dense. It's like when you cook fish and it falls through the cracks. So you might want to just do it on one of those grates that has, there's sometimes one of those grill support systems that has the little bit finer mesh, or even just on some tin foil. But that's a good question, because what we're trying to do when we talked about health and we talked about what our optimal diet and our power foods from last month, we were really trying to move away from a lot of processed red meat. So when we say a burger and everyone's coming for a burger, it's nice to have a vegetable burger, a vegetarian burger for people to try. And see how it goes. I also I was at a barbecue this weekend and they had barbecued carrots.
Ooh.
Instead of a hot dog.
That
It
sounds
was looking
amazing.
like a hot dog roll, and it was a carrot, and it was so all these things are things to kind of look for, to try and say, hey, what can I do to get fruits and vegetables in? And we're really shooting for trying to have people to have at least 5 servings of vegetables a day. So trying to get in 5 servings of vegetables is really trying to get in all the different colors of the rainbow, and that's one of the things that we really, really support as well.
All right. Yeah, we have another question.
Just a technical question and then a bigger question. You talk about the potatoes being cooked, cooled, and reheated.
Mm-hmm.
So typically in a potato salad that I would know, you cook the potatoes, you boil them probably, cool them, cut them up, and that's salad. So what kinds of foods are they reheated?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
sometimes you might make legumes or beans, and you might cook and reheat that.
Yeah.
Or rice is another one that we cook, cool, and reheat. Just the fact that you're cooking it and you're cooling it is going to be starting that resistant starch process.
Resistant starch is, I'm sorry.
So resistant starch is the starch that that comes from cooking, cooling, and reheating. So it's that resistant starch, and that starch is another fuel for the prebiotics. So the prebiotics are that good bacteria that live in our system, that are challenged every day by what we do. If we have stress, if we're on medication, if we have changes in our bowel movements, if we have hormone changes as we age, or if we're someone that has a sinus infection and goes on antibiotics. Those are times when our good bacteria is challenged, so we want to give our body prebiotics to feed our good bacteria. And the doctors used to always say, let's go for the pill. The pill first, get the pill of the good probiotic strains, which is the lactobacillus and the bifidobacterium, is the good strains of bacteria. But now they're saying those are introducing other bugs that aren't your bugs. So we want to try and feed your bugs first in terms of
My
that.
other question is, I have a friend who is a great believer in a plant-based diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's any particular benefits for Parkinson's, if you're just eating
That's a great
all
question.
animal matter out of your diet, or is there a balance between animal and plant-based, or are you strictly plant-based?
Okay, so the question is
question.
it better to have plant-based foods or animal foods? Basically, there's 2 ways to look at it. One is we want you to get good protein sources in your diet, which means enough protein to help maintain your muscle mass and your immunity. So every meal you should have protein, fat, and fiber. The problem is, I have 3 minutes left. Try and be quick. The problem is that when we eat foods and sometimes we have medication like the levodopa, like we talked about, Month, you're not really supposed to have a lot of protein foods during the time you're eating it. So that's a great time to have more vegetarian options because we want the levodopa to work on helping you with your tremors. So we want to say during those times you go low protein. So that's a good time to have the plant-based proteins because we don't want the levodopa to interfere with our protein intake and interfere with our protein absorption.
So
Excuse me.
animal protein that interferes with protein absorption, and if you do rice and beans to combine.
It's more, yeah, it's more or less you really move away from so much protein. So those sources of animal protein is higher than the source of the vegetable proteins. So that's one thing. The other thing is when we look at the research from Dr. Mishley out in Washington, she really focused on getting away from red meats. And sometimes even just getting away from saturated fats for the whole family. So that's why having a nice burger of choice is a good idea to try these burgers. The thing I get concerned with is we want to make sure people are eating healthy vegetables. So when we say we want you to have that half a plate of vegetables, so that's where we get more of these things in, we get more of the vegetables in. So it's really protein preference of choice, and it's trying to get the protein amounts that you need, and it's also working with your medication. So you can look at it both ways. I don't want to ever tell anyone not to eat red meat or chicken or fish. I want people to eat animal sources of protein because they have good amino acid structures, but we also want to give them the benefit of having the plant-based proteins as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, we have a minute left. Can we try a little bit?
Yeah, sure, yes.
It looks so
Okay.
good. I'm gonna try the potato salad first.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So do you taste the sauerkraut in that?
And the vinegar a little bit.
Yeah.
It's so good. The crunch from the celery is amazing.
And the crunch from the quinoa is another thing.
And the quinoa.
Okay, so I'm gonna taste some.
That
as
is
well.
delicious.
Okay.
Paula, I've made every recipe that you've done on this show, and my family loves them. They're so good.
Okay. This is more that German potato salad type of taste than the mayonnaise. Okay, we gotta taste the burgers too
Okay.
now before we go.
I need a fork. Do you need a fork?
Okay.
And a spoon.
Okay. Oops. I'm gonna touch it with my hand since I'm gonna be the one eating it.
All right, I'm gonna take this bite.
Okay.
Mm.
So the sweetness of the sweet potato comes out,
Mhm.
you taste a little bit of the tahini and the cumin flavor. So this is a great alternative for barbecue, and we also want to say eating well tastes great.
Thank you for joining us. Tune in next month.
Thank you.
Bye.